Tennessee in the United States of America. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Partner from United States of America. So that's truly an honor for every one of us, ladies and gentlemen, because we got insight from Chris from his presentation. And Chris Weiner is a New York Times bestselling author, a member of Motivational Speakers Hall of Fame, and also one of the most influential voices in leadership today. So let's give applause for Chris Weiner for his session. We do believe that every one of you has a lot of questions that you would like to convey to Chris. But first thing first, please hold on for the second because the question and answer session will be conducted right after the fourth presenter. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard about the insight on leadership and also human communication for global education, how leadership influence other people, how to show our integrity and being positive, and that we got trust from other people. So we becoming the lamp in the darkness of the room. So choose your room and let's brighten the room for everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, now we're moving on to the next session. And the next panelist is a world-renowned motivational speaker who has inspired thousands across Asia and beyond. He is author of 17 books and the mastermind behind Step Back Leadership Philosophy. Okay, so although he cannot be here with us in person today, he has prepared an exclusive session, especially for lafest 2026. And his talk today is entitled Building Youth Confidence Through Communication Skills. So ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the screen as we welcome virtually Mr. Lloyd Luna for his 15-minute presentation.
Hello, everybody. I appreciate you coming over. Thank you so much for being there. I appreciate you all. I hope you're enjoying your time. I am here just to share with you a couple of things about self-confidence. As as young people, especially as you are, as young as you are, I thought self-confidence is something that you need to start building. I'm going to share with you a couple of stories, maybe some anecdotes to help you get the confidence that you need moving forward to life. When I started my professional speaking career as far back as 2003, I thought it's an unlikely journey. I did not start my professional speaking career knowing that I like it. It's not particularly a dream for me when I started my speaking career. No, nothing so much in there to be hopeful because as a child, I'm painfully shy. I don't entertain people. I don't like people around me. Basically, I just want to be by myself most of the time because I don't want to socialize. In class, I hate recitation. I don't like to raise my hand to answer a particular question from my teacher. But it was only in 2003 when I was working in the office of the president here in the Philippines when I started a volunteer job. And my volunteer job was a human clicker, so to speak. I have a boss, and my job was to prepare his presentation. And whenever he presents, I click the enter button. It's not particularly a job that I could be proud because it's behind the scene and nobody notices. And but I did great about clicking. In fact, I did so well that my boss would always look good on stage because what I did backstage and there the small table down the stage. And I can remember from that point on, I didn't know that I was going to be a speaker until one day when he said he's going to be late in the speech. And if ever he cannot really make it, he said, "You do it." And I thought, really? Seriously? Because in my mind, I couldn't do it. I'm shy. I'm gonna pass out if you ask me to be up there on stage and present. But as fate had it, at that particular day, my boss was really so late that he didn't make it. And so I was introduced by the MC and I was called up on stage. Mr. Lloyd Luna, everybody, round of applause. And that was the moment. I stood up and I walked so slowly as if I didn't want to reach the stage. That kind of walk. You're walking, but you don't want to arrive. But I did arrive, and from that point, it was blank. I look at my seat and I saw my soul stuck in that particular chair. Um, I had to speak for I think 30 minutes or so. And I'm sure that the audience didn't like my speech. I'm sure that they're confused about my speech, because I myself was confused about my speech as well. I didn't understand my speech practically. I knew that people don't like me because they are not engaged. I cannot get their attention and they don't engage with me. Basically, it's so painful that in front of you, you know that people don't like you. And I thought, when is this going to end? And after 30 minutes, I went down the stage, conversation, self-talk between me and myself, telling myself, no, that's the last time. I will never, ever take the stage again because for me, it should be the end of it. You know what I mean? I didn't do well. It was a shame. It didn't work out the way I thought it should. But somehow, something in me said, well, maybe you deserve another try. You can do one more time and let's see what happens. And so I did, and same result. Um, People didn't like me. People did not engage with me. I still couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I did another try and still the same result. The third time, the fourth, and the fifth, the same result. It was only up to until the 10th attempt. Oh no, it still didn't work at the time, the 10th attempt. And I didn't know when I was doing it right already. But I thought after 20 years, I'm here um, in front of you, telling you that I made it. In 2017, I put up the Philippine Association of Professional Speakers. In 2018, I was lucky to represent the Philippines first time ever in history as the first representative to the Global Speaker Summit in Auckland, New Zealand. Eventually, I became the youngest board member of the Global Speakers Federation. In 2019, I went to Paris, France, as the first and only Filipino to have ever given an opportunity to speak in the French and European Speakers Convention. In 2020, there was a pandemic, couldn't go out. The plan to really travel the world, the United States, Canada, South Africa, and all that uh, was halted, was stopped, was paused for a while. Didn't make me feel good because I was about to travel, but I didn't make it. But by 2022, sometime in 2022, happened to go back to the United Arab Emirates and became the only Filipino to speak in the world's largest book fair. They call it Sharjah International Book Fair. And speakers featured in that particular kind of event include Dan Brown, Steve Harvey, Deepak Chopra, and Trevor Noah. So to be alongside these giants, I thought, wow, how did it happen really? I was asking myself, what are the things that I did right that I made it to the global stage? Me, is a simple, small guy from the somewhere in the Philippines, um, made it to the global speaking stage. And the answer isn't as simple as I expected to be, because the answer was that because I did more wrong things than I did the right things. So in other words, I thought, really? It's because I was able to take a risk. That's why I made it. And so it became a principle that you wouldn't really know how far you can go until you actually go there. And I did go there. And so this particular journey has taught me about confidence. Um, Confidence is not, it's gender neutral. Doesn't care if you're male or female or in between. It doesn't care about your age, whether you're young or young at heart. It doesn't matter if you are Asian or American or European. Race is not a factor to it. Your color has nothing to do with confidence. Confidence, I thought, comes from mastery. Mastery of oneself and mastery of one's skill. Because you can't buy it, you cannot rent it out, you cannot borrow it. You cannot borrow it from people. You say, I'm not confident today, maybe you can let me borrow your confidence. No, doesn't happen that way. You build it over time by learning to accept yourself, who you are, what you believe, how you speak, how you communicate, how you present yourself to the world. Because once you become a master of yourself, I thought everything else follows. You don't have to prove to people. You don't have to impress people around you. Because one thing I learned is that impression only follows expression. If you express yourself so right and so authentic, people get impressed. So you don't have to do a thing more than how you would normally do it. And things simply fall into its rightful places. I didn't know that I would become a global speaker until I um, did the small details and um, accepting failures here and there, countless of failures. Um, it happened because I allowed myself to fail. I allowed myself to experience pain and struggles. I gave myself the permission uh, to break my heart uh, when things don't go the way I want things to go. Uh, but along the process, I learned about myself and who I am and what I represent. So self-mastery is for me one of the key to confidence. The second part is mastering your skill, your expertise. I don't think people get the confidence that they need if they are not particularly a master of that particular set of skills or skill. And so the reason I can speak to you like as normally as I can right now isn't because I have the highest score in English class, or I studied English so much and I can speak more fluently than you can, because I'm sure you probably can speak better than me. But it's because I know that this is my expertise and I'm able to master this over time, presenting in front of a crowds of different people in 4 continents, 26 countries, I believe. So because I am able to master this, you don't have to you don't have to uh, tell me to be confident because it's just automatic. So when you're able to master a particular skill or skill set, um, you become confident in doing it. And so by mastering yourself and your skill or expertise, I thought automatically you become a confident person um, with a particular right attributed to it. So yeah, having self-confidence, it's a self thing. It's personal. You don't have to look out and around to say it. You just have to look inside, learn to master yourself, accept your flaws, accept your imperfections, be authentic to people, speak the way you would normally do. Present yourself without fear that people may not accept you, because some people really don't and won't accept you. But nonetheless, be who you are and be truthful in everything that you do. And then, secondly, master your skill. And those two things, when you intentionally work on those two things, I thought you don't need to enroll in confidence class because by default, naturally, you'll be confident talking to people, creating your relationships, presenting yourself, presenting your idea. Because at the end of the day, those two particular masteries are the only keys to self-confidence. So that being said, I would like to thank you all for giving me your attention. I'm hoping you really did give me your attention, and I'm hoping that I get you inspired and motivated by this particular insight and story. This has been my journey, and I hope you like it. And I hope to see you one day become the confident person that you were meant to be. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. See you.
Session, we believe that building confidence needs time and also commitment. By knowing ourselves, get to know more about ourselves, we get to know better about the world. So how could the universe knows about us if we even don't know about ourselves, right? So start from knowing ourselves, improve our skills. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming into the next segments, and I think every one of you still have some questions in your mind. Please hold on for a while. You might deliver your question later on in the question and answer session. So we are moving on to the next session. There will be two speakers who are attending today's session in person with us today. So please join me in welcoming our next presenter. So ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is a distinguished expert in the field of digital literacy and creative education with extensive experience in both academia and professional consulting. She is a researcher, an educator, and a visionary in digital pedagogy. So please welcome Miss Christine News. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're also going to have the next panelist for today's session, the next speaker, the one and only, I think everyone knows here in Telecom University. The next speaker is a prominent figure in the field of communication science. As an accomplished academic and researcher focusing on the intersection of media, culture, culture and society. She represents the high standards of academic excellence we strive for here in Telkom University. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Director of Digital Learning and Language Center, Ibu Idola Perdiri Putri. Me to lead the session, but first of all, we'll need to check that microphone does work. So, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that every one of you curious about what's the next thing that we're going to discuss today with our prominent speakers in the session. So, Miss Kristen is going to be our third panelist for today. So, you will have 15 minutes to present. So, the topic for today's in this third session is intercultural communication in global education. And we'll save the question for every one of you in the question and answer session after the fourth speaker. So, Miss Kristen, time's yours.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. I really appreciate it. And I'm really glad to be here in the room with all of you. I have a couple of slides that I've brought with myself. So I hope this will show. When I click it? No? Maybe not.
Would like to have the slides?
Aha, okay. I was a bit hasty. I'll go back a little bit. So my topic today, intercultural communication and global education. When Ibu Idola told me about this topic, I was very happy to hear about this because I feel like I started global education at birth. As you can perhaps see, my mother is Indonesian and my father is German. And as someone with mixed parents, I feel like intercultural communication is something that, wanted or not, something that I had to experience and something that I enjoyed experiencing. One of the things that, as I look at this room with all I see some international students here and some students joining the competition as well. I think one of the things that make me think back on why global education or where global education starts, for me it started with my parents, with my family. The first books that I read were in English, but I was living in Pakistan. And they were read by my Indonesian mother. And the first book here that you can see, perhaps, it's a little bit hidden under here, it's How to Say Please and Thank You. And I think this still holds true till today, that whether you want to study French or Spanish or any other language, these are usually good words to start with. So what I want to talk to you about, and don't worry, you don't have to memorize all the points, they're more for me than for you, are about what I think intercultural communication can bring to the table also for your own personal lives. So one of the things why I'm so excited about this is because, and learning languages, language center here, yes. Why I'm so excited about learning languages is because I think language has a lot to reveal about a culture and about a people. You might not be fluent in Indonesian just yet if you're an international student. But there are some words you might pick up that you find funny or interesting. So there's a saying by Goethe, and again, you don't have to memorize this, but it says, wer fremde Sprachen nicht kennt, weiß nichts von seiner eigenen. It means, if you don't know foreign languages, you don't much of your own. And I thought about this. What does this mean, really? So here, in very small writing behind me, there are a couple of examples of German phrases that I have translated with ChatGPT. This is where the AI comes in, right? Very typical German phrases reveal something about the culture. We like to say, this is not my beer. Das ist nicht mein Bier. It means that's none of my business. Beer is business because it's important to Germans. We have also something where we say, es geht die Wurst. Germans love Sauces, yeah? Sauces is Wurst. So it's getting exciting now. It's getting important because we love sausage. Alles in Butter, everything in the manteiga, everything in butter. It means everything is okay because we really like butter. And we do like cheese, but we say Käse or cheese when something went wrong. Cheese. Right. So I think in Indonesian, there's a lot of things that we say that are so typical. Something about nasi going to bubur, because here you eat rice and you eat bubur, and it's important and part of the language. So, and I'm sure all the international students here have similar sayings from your countries. Now, something from my experience that I want to share with you, and this is an opinion, but I hope you can resonate with this. Why I think intercultural communication matters is, generally speaking, better relations. It's really hard to find a workplace now where you don't have cultural mixes. Even here, someone from Bandung meeting someone from Jakarta, Sundanese, Javanese, Manadonese, Bataknese. These are different cultures, and if you are good at intercultural communication, you will have a much more peaceful life. That's why I think it's important. The second, job search. Not everything is about money, but you're not competing anymore with people with their own passport. I notice your emceeing in English is a lot better than mine, so I'm worried. So there's a lot of competition going on with people speaking languages so well because of language centers like this. And I think that's an opportunity. And the opportunity for all of you here is that speaking different languages and intercultural communication can mean freedom for yourselves. Freedom where to live. Pa Christoph is also here in Bandung, and I think it's a nice place to be. It's our opportunity, our freedom to be here because we speak in different languages and are able to adapt interculturally. And lastly, I tried to study Japanese once because I like anime. It wasn't very successful, and I've never been to Japan, but I feel the richer for it. And one day I really want to go. So personal growth could be a motive. For everyone here in Bandung, your life is already intercultural. I see there's a lot of people here joining the competition, right? So it's an archipelago. We have many languages, many cultures. We have opportunities for competitions. We speak a little bit of mix. When we are speaking Indonesian, it's never true Indonesian. It's always a mix of different languages. So I think Bandung is already exposing you to all of that. And of course, there's music, games, shows, all kinds of things that make life already intercultural here. So here are some things, and this is where Chris Widener comes in, and I was really glad he said this. He said about taking things positively. I used to come to other countries and say, oh, I don't think I like this. But after some time, when you spend time in other countries, you realize maybe the thing you don't really like about the country is what makes this country work very well. So for example, I learned that people who really, really stick to rules are really good at surviving and live in systems and get great pensions. And that's what I learned from German people. They seem sometimes terribly boring, but they're really good at getting their pension back. And I think it's a survival skill. Then we have international mindset. Does not in all cultures mean that you're happy that you're not protective of your own culture. So I lived in Belgium for a while, and would you please kindly raise your voice because the back there. Oh, sorry, you can't hear me in the back. Hello, there we go. Yes. So Belgium has 3 languages, actively speaking, plus English. Belgians are very internationally minded, but they do care that you understand when to speak Flemish or Dutch, similar. I'll be careful here. French or English or German. And then I also learned that in some places I went to that what you see on the news and the media is not really reality. And I learned this especially in Pakistan, where I found that the men taking care of our house and around us were very, very paternal, very involved with their children. And you don't really see this in the news every day. And something I learned there. And what I learned from international students when I was a teacher in Barcelona was empathy. We had students from Israel and Palestine and Ukraine and Russia all in the same class. So now when I watch the news, I watch it from a different angle. I attach names and I think about them and I write them. And I think it puts you in a better place of not being quite as judgmental as we tend to be. And lastly, one of the favorite things that I learned is that brutal honesty and directness could mean perhaps that it's a lack of skill in saying things kindly. And I learned this from Indonesia, where people are very kind and they still get to say the things they mean to say. It just takes a little bit longer. So I would rather be here. All right. So here, to all the students that are already taking these opportunities, I just want to highlight, as someone who has been able to study in Australia, in Spain, and Belgium, I had the chance to take these opportunities. And maybe if you're going to a university like Telkom with a language center like this, you might not think that scholarships are available. Or you might not think that there is an opportunity for a short trip out there that is really perhaps affordable. You don't know until you ask. So go ask. You might not know that you can learn sign language here. I always wanted to learn sign language. I'm gonna talk to you later about this. So I'm very excited about these opportunities. For people who are thinking about S2, S3, and beyond, you can always Google scholarships and LPDP and how to apply. There's a lot of free workshops about that. Universities abroad do give scholarships too, to Indonesian people. You just have to search. Contact the Indonesian embassy abroad. Like what Lloyd said, not everyone might respond nicely to you, but just be yourself and try. You have nothing to lose. And this is not endorsed. I'm not getting paid for this, but I did say go to international cultural centers like IFI or Goethe Institute. IFI is here in Bandung. They have fantastic opportunities and they tell you really great things about how to get to France. And perhaps one of the things you can practice while you're here in Bandung, whether you're a 15-year-old competitor or a 55-year-old academic, you can try to practice your intercultural skills just by simply saying hello to the international students you have here. You can try out as an MC. You can try to look at intercultural behavior. How do people talk? Do they lean forward? Do they talk with their hands a lot? How do they deal with problems? Do they politely leave the room or do they scream panicking away? You learn a lot about culture about this. And then, of course, you can learn about your own language. Why do we say Jumat and Sabtu? Which words in Indonesian are Arabic and Portuguese and have Chinese roots and Dutch roots? Many. And of course, you can look for free international online courses if you're really strapped for time. That's always an option. So lastly, I think one of the reasons we're all here is we're trying to look for something, and maybe some of you are not really sure why you're joining this competition. You just did. Some of you are not really sure why you took this exchange. You just took the opportunity. But I tell you, in about 10 years or 20 years, you will look back to this and you'll thank yourself. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's give a warm applause for Stan. That was very beautiful, especially knowing, we all know that learning the language means learning the culture itself. So at least every day we can try to practice just some basic words, but also trying to see how's the culture delivery itself in the culture and also in the words itself, right? Like bonjour, for example. Is that correct pronounced? Bonjour.
We have to ask Christoph.
Oh yeah. Okay. Or probably in Sundanese language, we actually
Oh, with Christine speaks German.
Germany. Oh, danke.
Bitteschön.
All right, so we learn about it, and sometimes we also in the international situation, for example, we usually happy when someone speaking our like local language, right? Like just like you, S2, S3, just time you mentioned that word, so feel like, oh wow, you know that one, of course, right? So learn the language itself means we learn the culture. So we believe all of the audience also have some questions on their mind they would like to ask you, but hold on for a while. We're gonna have the last panelist at first, speaker, and then after that we're gonna have a question and answer session.
Hatur nuhun.
Oh wow! Let's give applause Hatur nuhun. Thank you, Kirsten. That was very beautiful. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, now we're moving on to the last presenter for this session, I think.